Did you know that 9 out of 10 startups fail because they have no idea how to raise money? And did you know that out of the 10% who make it to the negotiation table, another 90% fail because they have absolutely no idea what the investors want to see and how they should tell their story to an investor? Welcome to a new episode at my YouTube channel. My name is Soschner and I develop life science companies in the early stages since 2006. I help startups from various industries to nail their storytelling and to present their story to investors in a way that makes them win the deal. So let's jump right into it. The first thing that an investor will ask you for is the pitch deck, also known as your company's presentation. These days, it's not enough to put a bunch of slides together, explain the technology, and expect to get the money. Today, we need to learn to tell a story. Investors want to hear a nice story about the DNA of your company. Mostly, you face two situations when pitching to investors. The first situation is face-to-face, or as I call it, the stage situation. The second one is the situation when an investor asks you via mail to receive your company's presentation. Although both situations have the same structure of storytelling, you should treat the pitch decks slightly different. In a face-to-face presentation, you see how the investor reacts and you can explain in your own words what you would like to say. The pitch deck is only there for underlining your words. Whereas when you send an email, you don't see the reactions of the investors when they are looking through your pitch deck. So in that situation, I recommend to use a little bit more words on the slides because mostly pictures are not self-explanatory. But in both situations, you can use the same structure. So what is this deal-winning structure? Here it comes. On the first slide, the cover slide, I always recommend start with the big picture. Show what change you want to bring to the world. Show your philanthropic side. What do you want to improve in our society? Big pictures, great visions are a great attention grabber to investors. See, when you start telling a story, you want the investors to want hearing your story. It's like when you go to the movies. When you see a movie trailer, and a pitch deck is nothing different than a movie trailer, you want the trailer to draw you into the movie and makes you come back in a couple of weeks when the movie is released and actually watch the entire story. So treat your pitch deck like a movie trailer. And the first thing you need to do is grabbing the attention of an investor with the vision slide. Once you got the attention of the investor and he or she didn't run away after the first slide, come to the next point. It's the problem slide. Every business has to solve a problem at the end of the day that many people have, and the problem must be so pressing that the people want to pay for your solution. So the first step to convince investors is showing them what problem did you find in the world and how many people actually have that problem. And you should be able to put it on one slide. Just remember the words of Albert Einstein. Actually, it's attributed to Albert Einstein, but I have no clue if these are really his words. But I like the proverb. If you cannot explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. So spend sufficient time that you learn to explain the problem you saw in very simple words. Why? The average time an investor takes to look at the pitch deck when you send it over by mail, and also the attention span in a face-to-face meeting, is scientifically proven 2 minutes and 36 seconds. After that time period, the attention of the investor is gone. So really learn to grab the essence of the problem, put it on one slide and not hundreds. Once you have the problem slide nailed and convinced the investor that's a problem at hand that it's worth working on, you should come to the third step and explain to the investor what is your specific solution all about. Ideally, you already have a working prototype because it's the best thing to show to an investor how it works. But if you're in early stages, most likely it's just a concept phase. And that's fine because the investors in early stages are very well aware that they have to invest money, cover the risks, take over the risks to bring the company from concept stage to the working prototype. But in the end, you need to come up with the solution. You need to present to the investor the unique solution that you are working on. The investors will not come back and recommend a solution to you. It's your job as a CEO of a company, and it's the job of your business to have the solution available. And also here, keep it short, keep it simple, one slide and not 20 slides to explain the solution. So once you got the 3 things nailed down, vision, problem and solution, I always like showing the team. Yes, you need a team. A business is a game for a team. It's not a one-man show or a one-woman show. Nobody invests in one person only. So what you need to have is a team that help you to build the solution and make your business successful. Show on the team slide the faces of your team and a couple of words. Why is your team the best team to work on the solution? And also here, keep it short and simple and break it down to the essence of your team. Show the C-level executives, key team players, also advisors that you're working with. So you cannot expect to have all the expertise covered by 2 or 3 people. Usually you need 20, 30, 40 or 50 people to move your company forward. So it's totally fine to work with advisors. Also show the gaps in your team. So for example, if you need a commercial expert because you lack this expertise, show the gap. It's always very much appreciated by investors to show an honest picture of your situation. We have 4 things nailed down: vision, problem, solution, and the team. Then the next question is very important. What's the market? It's building on the problem and the solution side and also on the team side. What is the addressable market of your solution? What market can your team cover? How many people to this particular problem really have, and how is the willingness to pay? Spend a little bit of time on the market slide, but don't go into too much detail. I had a podcast episode with the world's best investors in life science, and they all came to the conclusion that as they are working for decades and they have sometimes centuries of team experience in specific markets, they know probably more about the market than the life science startups. So just show an outline that you did your homework, but again, grab the essence, put on the slide what's important for your storytelling, and don't lecture people on the market. Also on the market section, you can lay out a little bit, is there already a competition on the market? There are 2 types of situation. In one, you create an entire new market. This is one type of business game. And in other situations the market is already established. That's the second kind of game. So we have now covered the vision slide, the problem, the solution, the team, and the market. Now we come to the next part. It's, as Oren Klaff tells it in his book Pitch Anything, it's the secret sauce. It's your unique selling proposition. What are you doing better than others on the market? What is your moat? Why is it difficult to attack your market position once you grabbed it? Don't worry too much about it. Every team has a moat. Every team has one point that makes it very unique. And when you're a startup or a first-time entrepreneur, at least what you always can say is that you put the effort behind working on the solution. And this most of the time makes a huge difference, because at the end, success is a combination of an idea and the execution. But in reality, the idea is only 5% of the success. The rest comes back to the execution and 0% luck. So when you can present your team as the dedicated team to work 16 hours daily per person on the solution, you probably have a great moat already at hand. So you think it's difficult to find something unique. There's always something that's unique also when you are getting into a crowded space. Let's think a little bit about the Apple story, and let's look back to the year 2006. The mobile industry was a crowded space back then. I still remember Nokia, Sony Ericsson, Motorola, BlackBerry, and many others that covered the market. So Steve Jobs set out to invent another mobile phone. The first time when I saw the Apple iPhone, I thought, what is Apple doing? There are so many mobiles on the market already. The space was crowded, and in those days, in 2004 and 5, I spent some time consulting the mobile industry. The market went from a growing space, from a growing market, into a steady state market, and on the price side it already started to decline. So in the 90s nobody had a mobile phone. In 2004 and 5, I think the average amount of mobile phones per person were 2 or 3. The space was crowded, and Apple set out to invent a new mobile phone. Why and how? Steve Jobs was a very smart person. So what he realized and what he saw is that the mobile industry created devices that served a purpose but were not very customer friendly. Every time when I changed the mobile, I had to learn a new operating system with a completely different structure from the old one, even if I stayed with the same brand. Steve Jobs invented a smartphone, and this was the first time when the customer could customize the phone to its needs with the app economy that Steve Jobs invented. So instead of creating a structure in which the customers must fit their thinking into it, they created a smartphone that can be turned into a useful device as the customer needs it. And this was a huge turning point. And when we in 2020 look now on the market, everybody has a smartphone, and the old brands are all gone. There are new brands, there is Apple, there is Samsung, and Steve Jobs basically reinvented again an entire value chain. So even if you're in a crowded space, explain what you're doing new, what's your secret sauce, and what's your unique approach that you're taking. But let's come back to the pitch deck. We explained in the first slides vision, problem, solution, team, market, secret sauce, the unique selling proposition. And hooray, we are coming to the end of the presentation. We lay out the deal. I'm a huge fan in speaking clear words to investors, in knowing what I need and what I want. So how do I propose the deal to an investor? The first part of the deal is explaining the go-to-market strategy. It doesn't matter whether you are developing a B2B business or a B2C business. At the end of the day, every product or service must be brought to a customer. And understanding the entire value chain of an industry is key to success. Because only when you understand what the last part in the value chain, the customer, really needs, then you can explain why your product is of importance to that customer, even if you are very early in the value chain. In the life science industry, it's probably the patient, and you should be very clear and very specific about the timelines, how long it takes, and how much money is needed to reach market success, even if you don't plan to do it. Yes, it takes a lot of time, a lot of research, but again, before you reach out to investors, do your homework and understand the go-to-market strategy. Once you nail that, then you have to find your unique position in the value chain. It's your business model. A company is always doing the same. They are taking an input, transforming the input, doing something with it in between, and selling the output to other companies or consumers. So here you should explain how you believe that you can make money on the market. And also here, do your homework. It's not easy. Sometimes you have to invent new business models. For example, 30 years back, everybody bought music on records. Then we got the compact discs, which basically was similar to records. Then we got the Blu-ray, they could store more data. And then we switched to the internet. Apple. Steve Jobs invented iTunes. It was the first time when people could buy single songs for €1 or 99 cents back then. And then came Spotify and transformed the business model, which was basically getting license rights per song at a fixed price, and they started with a subscription model. So you got all the music in the world for one monthly payment. Now comes the next thing. You know the go-to-market strategy. You explained your unique business model, and now is the time to tell the investor what you are raising money for. What's the next value inflection point that you want to achieve? Explain it very, very detailed this time. You should know where you are, and you should know where you want to go. You have to lead the investor to this point, actually. The value inflection point is key to success. And once you have that, you can calculate the numbers and can explain how much money you need. What is the use of these proceeds? What do you invest the money for? Is it to hire more staff, to have more capacity, to produce the prototype, to shorten the timeline? Is it a go-to-market strategy? Do you want to hire sales reps, to have more traction on the market, to increase the sales figures? Is the money for completing the prototype and then selling it right away to the industry? Be very specific and very clear what you intend to do with the money. Here we go, almost done. At this point in time, the investor learned what your big vision is. Why are you doing all that you do? What the problem is, the solution, why your team is the best to work on the solution, And the fifth part is your unique selling proposition. Then you explained also what the market is and jumped right into structuring the deal. At this point, you explained the go-to-market strategy, you explained the business model of your business, and you also give a clear picture into the next value inflection point and how much money you need to achieve that point and how much time is needed to bring a company there. Now it's the time to propose the deal. And the deal should contain the value of your company before investment. So how much equity do you give away for how much money? And what's the exit perspective of the investor? Is the investor the first one who goes into the company and you need to raise further rounds of money? Or is it the last investment round and you expect a deal to come in at the end of the investment? Also here, be very clear, be very specific, and be very concise in explaining that. And that's about it. This is basically the structure that I use when I present ideas to investor, and I hope it helps you too. Have a great day.